Welcome in, everybody. Another episode of Play Like a Jet Live, brought to you by U Stadium. I am Luke. This is Clay. We're here every Wednesday night from 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Clay, the dust had settled on the first game of the season for the Jets. They lost 19-14 to the Panthers. How are you feeling after everything that's unfolded?
Yeah, I'm still obviously a little disappointed just because I wanted that first win. And I saw a stat today that the Jets are 2-12 in September since the start of 2017. Not ideal. No. So I'm kind of hoping we can just change that notion that we can't win early in the season. And last Sunday was not a good start to it, but hey, we still got 2 more games in September this year. So Hopefully we can walk away with one on Sunday.
They're the anti-Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has never lost a game in his career in September. The New York Jets are usually 0-5 heading into mid-October. So let's hope we get some better results against New England. We're going to touch on that game. We're also going to start with a recap of a couple of really important topics from the Jets' loss against the Panthers. We'll then go into some predictions and thoughts on the Jets' home opener against New England. But before you do, I want to thank everyone for supporting not only the Play Like a Jet team, but everything we're doing here with U Stadium. Make sure you subscribed on YouTube, following on all social media platforms. You can send super chats and stickers and all these kind of things. Make sure you ring the notification bell. Everything you can do to help us grow the platform with U Stadium, Play Like a Jet, all those fantastic shows we have on here. So make sure you're doing it. Thanks, Henry. Appreciate you watching, man. So Clay, let's jump into now a look back at week 1. The Carolina Panthers, the first half was terrible. The Jets couldn't get anything going offensively, but Zach Wilson was fantastic in the second half. The poise he showed to take the pressure, 55% of snaps he was pressured, to overcome that and have these sustained drives with incredible off-platform throws was great to see.
Yeah, obviously the first half didn't go according to plan. Only 82 yards offensively, but the second half he really seemed to step it up. The poise never really seemed to waver, even when he was getting pressured. Like he's making his debut, constantly pressured. What did you say? 55% of the time. And he still looked like a veteran in the pocket. I know people are gonna say like, oh, he only scored 14 points. It's not good enough. Blah blah blah. But like, you know what? The fact that he had to deal with what he had to deal with the offensive line, the weapons not catching the ball, the running game not being any kind of factor in the game. I was really impressed with what he did. I know I'm just getting through the all 22 now. I just got it today, so I haven't been able to dive through the whole thing. And I know there's going to be some things to work on. Like I posted a screenshot of one of the third down plays that he had, and he had Elijah Moore wide open in the middle of the field. He had Corey Davis kind of open enough to at least make it close enough for a first down, and he ended up bypassing both of them and went to Ty Johnson deep down the sideline. So I know he's going to be watching that film and kicking himself in the butt. And I know he's going to get better from it. Like, I'm not worried about it. It's going to happen. I'm sure it happens to Tom Brady where he misses it, where he doesn't see an open guy. So not worried about it. Just things to work on. And I'm excited to see what he can do next week and weeks leading forward.
Me too. It's going to be a tough test next week, but it's going to be brilliant to see his progression. Some key numbers out of the game for Zach Wilson. Obviously, he exceeded 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. We know all the box score stats. He had 3 big-time throws, which is nice to see. He was pushing the ball into some tight windows. There were 5 drops from receivers. He had 3 turnover-worthy plays. The one to Shaq Thompson on the sideline when he was rolling out and trying to hit Jeff Smith. The one deep, which, look, it's a 3rd and 10. The Jets are in desperate need of pushing the ball down the field, and he had a free rusher coming straight into his face. You kind of understand that one late in the game. But overall, it was a mixed bag. But we're actually going to look at some of the all-22, Clay. We've pulled up a couple of clips of some things he did really nicely. So let's walk through those. And have a look at some of the success that Zach Wilson had. And I wanted to start with the big-time throw he had to Denzel Mims, because during the game, I think everyone thought, oh, what a great throw against cover 2 to hit Mims down the sideline. But really, it was a fantastic effort because of the way he evaded pressure. And Splash, if we can pull that up now, we'll have a look at Zach Wilson's first throw against the Carolina Panthers. We see him here in the shotgun. I want you to watch number 91 from the Panthers defense. He's lined up against Elijah Vera-Tucker. Vera-Tucker loses outside shoulder off the snap, doesn't do a good job with his hands, then gets his shoulder pads over his feet, plays off balance. But have a look how Zach Wilson climbs the pocket, has a man coming free in his face, and then throws a frozen rope to Denzel Mims. That's an awesome play, Clay. It's something you love to see.
Yeah, to be honest, I want to go through this again because I don't even know if he saw that defensive end coming up as he was throwing it. I think if he
Mhm.
saw him, he probably would have held it or maybe checked it down or something. But yeah, he took a hard hit. I didn't even notice during the game. I just saw that he was winding up to go deep, and uh, as we see here, it was Denzel Mims making his first catch in one of his 3 plays. But no, I mean, I don't even want to. We can talk about Denzel Mims another time. I feel like
Yeah.
he's just getting way too much on Twitter right now. That I think is just getting overblown, like way overblown.
Mhm.
So, but sticking with Zach Wilson, and no, I mean, play like this is exactly what you want to see out of this kid. Like this is what we saw from BYU. Granted, he wasn't hit as much at BYU, but
Yeah, correct.
But now, like just making these kind of off-platform plays down the field, like he has a rocket of an arm. That's no secret. Like we knew that coming in, but you still just love to see it. Like it's just verified in front of your face now in green and white. And no, it was an incredible play. And I think Mims, to be honest, I think if he fought harder, and someone actually commented on this on our last show, and I meant to bring it up, but I didn't. I think if he fought harder, he could have gotten into the end zone.
Possibly. Get out of bounds, though.
I think he thought that he was closer to out of bounds than he actually was. And I think that's why he didn't fight as hard. Because we know he has some fight. We saw it in the preseason game against the Giants. If he's doing it in the preseason, I'm sure he would do it in the regular season too.
Yeah, for sure. It was the thing that not surprised me, but I found kind of ironic, Clay, was throughout the whole preseason, you get these vanilla looks. Zach Wilson wasn't hit once, and he was just, everything was inside the pocket. And people said, oh, well, how's he going to look if he gets pushed outside of structure? Well, we got the answer to that. You saw Zach Wilson, the Zach Wilson of BYU. But the second play I wanted to mention, Clay, was a better example of him inside of structure, which is what I wanted to see. And I can't fault him for bailing because most of the time there was genuine pressure. A couple of times he bailed the pocket early. But on this particular play against the Carolina Panthers, he does an excellent job with his feet and with his eyes. So, Splash, if we can bring up the second clip now. This is probably my favorite read and throw of the day. You got Zach Wilson on the right hand, the top side of the screen. You're going to see a little stick concept, and then he's going to do a great job bringing his eyes back over and finding Corey Davis running the crossing route, or what I call the cover 2 post replacement. So we let it go. Zach Wilson's eyes go right. He reads the stick. Look, it's open. He could get a 6-yard gain on 2nd and 10, but you got to remember here the Jets have been struggling to move the ball down the field. They're in the red zone. He does a great job bringing his eyes and feet across. So we'll watch this one more times. Clay does a really nice job bringing not just his eyes, but his feet, repositions, and then throws a strike and beats the safety with velocity. It's a really nice play inside of structure.
Yeah, another one at the very end. You could see Corey Davis. He has the touchdown. He just loses his balance. So close. But now, again, Wilson does a great job inside the pocket. I know that's one thing that we wanted to see more of. In preseason, like you said, he wasn't getting touched. It was kind of just easy. He's just like, all right, I'll take what you give me. I'll take what you give me. And this one, he had to go through his progressions, found Corey Davis in the middle of the field, and it wasn't like a wide open throw. Like he has a defender almost. He's just a little late to the spot, but perfect throw. Davis does a good job extending his hands and then getting 20 yards after the catch or so.
Yeah,
for the 35-yard gain. So. No, it's exciting to see. We can go through this again. Just keep going through all the top plays of Zach Wilson. I love it.
Look, obviously there was, as you mentioned, there was some poor plays. The interception to Shaq Thompson, the other interceptable ball to Thompson when he was rolling out. But look, it was just most pleasing to see him develop in the second half. And Clay, this is both my favorite and least favorite call from Mike LaFleur in the game, probably. So the concept is fantastic. The Panthers are running cover 6. Just quickly for those people who haven't seen, I did a review of this on Play Like a Jets YouTube. They're in cover 6. So 1-2 quarters here from the safety in the corner. And then you've got this safety here playing on the cover 2 side of the field. He'll be deep, and this corner is going to buzz in cover 2. So that's what you're looking at here. So cover 4 on this side of the field, cover 2 over here. What the Jets do, they're going to run as we let the play roll a little bit. I'll give you an idea of where these routes are coming from. You've got Corey Davis from the outside and Ryan Griffin from the inside. They're running a scissors concept. So Ryan Griffin running a corner. He's trying to take this safety and turn his hips towards the sideline. Corey Davis is then coming back and runs the post. And the idea is to undercut this guy's leverage once he's turned his hips. They do a great job. This is going to be a touchdown. Ignore Zach Wilson bailing. If this ball gets thrown right now to Corey Davis, which obviously can't happen because of the pressure, that's a touchdown. This is a fantastic concept. But Clay, is it the right call to play when you're play to call when your offensive line hasn't blocked anyone for more than 3 seconds all game? I'm not really sure. But now watch Zach Wilson outside of structure, sees it, has to bail, and just does a great job finding Corey Davis.
This is BYU Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
At its finest. Like, he gets out of the pocket, sees the pressure, gets out of the pocket, and finds this guy wide open in the end zone. Yeah, you're right. If he doesn't get pressured, it's a touchdown over the middle of the field to Corey Davis. But like, he obviously gets, 10 yards of separation?
Yeah.
It kind of made it a little easier for Wilson. But yeah, I mean, it's a great play call, but considering our offensive line was struggling containing the pressure
a little bit,
doesn't make it as good of a call, but I mean, it still resulted in a touchdown, so who am I to complain?
Yeah. Clay, speaking a bit more specifically now, I think the things that Jets fans were most worried about and most pleased about coming into the Carolina game were, number one, the Jets defensive line against the Panthers offensive line. I know there's a lot of stats from ESPN, which I don't love ESPN win rates, to be perfectly honest and upfront with people. They said the Jets had the best win rate up front in the NFL in week 1. I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't see it. Quincy Williams, they said he had a good game. He was 5th in pressure win rate in the NFL. PFF graded him in a 45. And I think PFF was closer to the mark. And I'm the biggest Quincy Williams apologist you'll find. So I'm not a huge fan of that stat, but they didn't win it that much. And the other thing was we were very concerned about the Jets corner group in particular against the Carolina Panthers wide receivers. Man, did they step up to the task or what?
I still can't believe it. Both sides, like the defensive line, like I was sure that Quincy Williams was going to dominate Elfline. And like now that I'm like watching more, he did better than I thought. I thought he was literally non-existent. I thought he did nothing on Sunday. But actually watching it, it actually seemed like he did a little bit for us. But still not up to the caliber of what he can do. And it looked like John Franklin Myers was easily the best defensive lineman on the team. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like they struggled. They picked it up in the second half too, but they started bringing more pressure, which I don't know if you want to kind of give that to the defensive line or to Saleh or Ulbrich, whoever's making that decision. But yeah, the cornerbacks, they did a tremendous job. I mean, I know people are going to say, oh, Robbie Anderson got a deep touchdown. Nope, that was on Sheldrick Redwine.
Yep.
That was a safety, not a cornerback. Wasn't Eccles, wasn't Carter, Guidry, Hall. They did such a good job. And then Bryce Hall, he only gave up 1 catch on the day, and it was when he was covering Christian McCaffrey out wide.
Yep.
Like you can't expect Bryce Hall to keep up with Christian McCaffrey on a quick slant. I don't care. Like, as good as he'll ever be, he will not keep up with prime Christian McCaffrey in that situation. So I'm going to say he gave up 0 catches.
Yep.
Realistically. And,
to receivers anyway.
Yeah, he did give up 0 to receivers. So I was really impressed with how Hall, Eccles, Carter played. I didn't really pay too much attention to Guidry. I don't really know exactly what he did, but I think he graded pretty poorly in PFF.
Yeah, he gave up the explosive play to DJ Moore on the sideline. He was only in nickel situations. Okay. He made the fantastic play on Christian McCaffrey on 3rd down to keep the Jets in the game and get the ball back there, making that ankle tackle on Christian McCaffrey one-on-one in space when the Jets were in dime. So that was fantastic. But yeah, we're going to look at a couple of these plays because you mentioned Bryce Hall. Man, he was terrific. And he was going up one-on-one deep against Robbie Anderson. If you asked me before the game whether I thought that was a good idea, I would have laughed at you because Bryce Hall has tight-ish hips. He's an okay athlete. And Robbie Anderson may be one of the quickest guys deep in the NFL. So, Splash, let's have a look at some of these plays. We've got 3 for you to look at today, just looking at the corner group and how well they did. And the first one is the matchup we just talked about. Top of the screen here, you've got Bryce Hall and Robbie Anderson, just lined up at the top of your screen. I want you to watch how fluid Bryce Hall is. Right here, Clay, I was concerned that Robbie Anderson's he's leaving. I was a little worried and thought that looks like trouble, but he does a great job evening up the ledger. This is tight coverage down the field. He's using the sideline as his friend and using it for leverage. And look, Robbie Anderson gets half a step, but I think all in all, when you consider the matchup and how unfavorable it is, this is really nice coverage from Bryce Hall.
No, he does a great job. And you say he's playing using the sideline as a friend. I think that was Darrelle Reeves' bread and butter. I think you have to use that in that situation. He does a good job kind of forcing him towards the sideline a little bit. Anderson gets a half a step, but Anderson's one of the faster receivers, straight line receivers in the league. And Hall's not really known for his speed. So the fact that he was pretty much in his hip pocket for that entire route, tremendous job. transition looked really fluid. He's very tiny on my screen right now, but the transition looked very fluid. No, I was impressed with him, and I mean, you'd think, and we're gonna get into it, but like the matchup against the receivers this upcoming week seemed to be more favorable. So I'm very curious to see if they continue this pace of how they're playing, or if they kind of go back to what we expected against a lesser group.
Yeah, and I wonder whether they're going to say, Bryce Hall, in one-on-one looks, we want you on Nelson Aguilar, because Aguilar's probably a similar player to Robbie Anderson when you look at his skill set and what he developed into. New England don't take as many deep shots as the Panthers necessarily. Mac Jones has thrown a couple in the preseason, but it's going to be a lot of, pick you apart on the 3-step, 5-step drop games. So it's going to be interesting. Clay, a guy that's impressed us as soon as he was drafted was Michael Carter II. This is the official show of Michael Carter II. This was the best defensive jet play from the Jets all day. This is probably the toughest route in the NFL to guard right now. College has made a living out of these big slots. So here you see Terrence Marshall Jr. You saw Justin Jefferson in the same offense at LSU. They just thrive on these kind of routes. He's going to run a slot fade, so he's going to come straight down the numbers, end up around here, and it's a difficult route for a slot corner. Clay, this is what I want to point out before we get the clip rolling. Look at the patience and time that Michael Carter has, whether he's in press or in off coverage. Just look how non-concerned he is, how easily he flips his hips and gets down. And look, the job he does at the catch point is terrific. The way he can compete with a much bigger athlete, but it's the speed, the fluidity, and just how smooth this guy is. There was another rep earlier in the game that we're going to have a look at as well. He's just so good at trusting his feet, trusting his ability in space, and he's just able to make it look easy.
He knows he's an athlete, and this is what I loved about him watching his Duke film. Like he knows how to be patient. He's not like, you see so many cornerbacks nowadays. They're just so impatient, and they'll go after the first move that they see, or they think they can do something because they know they're a good athlete. They can try to make it up. Like, no, like he knows he's a good athlete, but he's also trusting his eyes and his feet, and you see it here. And then getting the pass breakup, like that was. He fought hard for that, got his hand in there and broke it up. That was a perfect pass from Darnold. Like maybe not perfect, because perfect is a completion, but it doesn't get much better than that pass. I'm not going to take anything away from Darnold there, but Carter just made a better defensive play, and this is what I was expecting to see out of him, because he was able to get a ton of pass breakups at college. He wasn't like a pick artist, but I mean, heck, I will take pass breakups any day of the week. And that was third down, I believe, right?
Yeah, third down. First big third down of the game.
Third down, slot fade, perfect pass, and it just couldn't have played better defense than that.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I was really glad that the Jets made the right decision at corner. Even when Bless Austin was on the roster, I was saying, and I know you were of the same thought, that they had to start Brandon Echols because he looked so much better in the preseason. They had to start Michael Carter just because of his upside. Even though Guidry had played well, you saw him start to wrestle that position away from Javelin Guidry, and the Jets made great decisions on the defensive side of the ball. We'll leave the right tackle spot and Denzel Mims stuff for another day, but was really pleased with Ulbrich and Salah and what they did on the defensive side. One last play, Clay, and I know we said this is about the cornerback group, but CJ Mosley, I've pulled up the wrong play. That's okay. CJ Mosley did a fantastic job of bailing on this play. I'll just quickly get across to it now. It was really impressive to me just how, there we are, CBs, just how athletic he was on this play, because CJ Mosley isn't known as an athlete. That's not who he is as a football player. Yeah. But right here, he's mugged in the A-gap. Sorry for struggling with that. You see CJ Mosley right here. Now watch the athleticism he shows to get out of the A-gap and cover the tight end down the seam. Darnold's off target, as he was often in the second half and in the red zone as well. But what I wanted to really emphasize, Clay and Splash, was just how good he is at getting out of his break. And that's a pretty nice play from a 230-pound linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, I know, at least for me, I can't see the play if you played it. It's still paused on my screen. but no, you know what's funny? Like I don't typically watch linebackers when I'm watching a game. But for some reason, there we go. We see the play there for my Mosley. But for some reason, I had my eye on Mosley that entire time. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And I was hoping for an interception, but the ball was just overthrown. If it was a good throw, I think he would have been there for the PBU. If it was just slightly behind, honestly, that could have been a potential pick six.
Yep.
But yeah, Mosley did an incredible job there. And you can see that he's faster than he was with Baltimore. I mean, I know we only got a game and a half. Not even a game and a half, 3/4 of a healthy CJ Mosley. But yeah, no, and he looks fast, and I know the PFF grade wasn't good on him. He was in the 20s, but I'm not going to buy too much into it.
He had a couple of nice plays in the run game as well. He got beaten on a Texas route by Christian McCaffrey. What a surprise. Who would have thought that in 10 yards of space, Christian McCaffrey could beat CJ Mosley one-on-one? But Clay, on this same play, sorry for the lack of vision at the start there, have a look at Michael Carter. We just talked about him in press, even though he didn't use his hands. This is him in off coverage now. Just look at the patience and how easy he makes this. He is in no hurry to go anywhere. Look how slow his back pedal is. His transition step's beautiful, and he's in phase. It's just fantastic. It's so easy. And then quickly, if we look at the top of the screen, Bryce Hall against Robbie Anderson, deep again. Not a great matchup for Bryce Hall. He's just all over it. Really nice turn of the hips again. Uses his hands a little bit and does a great job staying on top of the route.
Yeah, it's the video is paused still, so I still can't see it. But I will trust your judgment on that. I don't remember their side of the field all that much on this play, but no, I mean, I just sticking with the corners. I was really impressed. I don't think anyone expected them to play as well as they did in this game.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's one thing to take away. If the defensive line can play a little bit better, I don't, like you said, I don't care what ESPN said. At least in the first half, the defensive line did not do a ton. I know they might have pushed back an offensive lineman a little bit into the pocket, but they weren't getting pressure. And they only had 1 sack on the game. And I know that's not the end all be all, but there's no way the defensive line had the highest win rate. It was just, I didn't see it. You didn't see it. It seemed like most of Jets Twitter on Sunday didn't see it. So unless we're missing something, I don't know. But no, and the cornerbacks playing as well as they did. It's a huge piece for the defense, and it's really going to allow Solid to do a little bit more moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Mekhi Becton obviously injured, something we haven't touched on. We mentioned it in the post-game show. Make sure you tune in after every single Jets game all year. Myself and Clay and Splash will be on for Live with You Stadium doing the post-game shows. Make sure you're there. If you have your notification bell on YouTube, you won't miss a thing, so make sure you do that. But this is going to be a test. Let's use this as the transition now to go towards New England, Clay, because obviously now Mekhi Becton's not going to be there. George Fant is going to play left tackle. Morgan Moses will play right tackle. Elijah Vera Tucker struggled a bit in pass protection and with stunt pickups with Conor McGovern and Greg Van Roten. The New England Patriots are going to do the very obvious thing here. They're going to bring some bare fronts, walking their Will and Sam down to the line of scrimmage with guys like Matt Judon and Dante Hightower sometimes. The guy they got returned from Miami, help me out here.
Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy.
Van Noy, thank you. They have those kind of outside linebacker types that they like to bring down to the line of scrimmage. They're going to show so much pressure through the A gap, and they're going to try and confuse the Jets front because right now it's on tape, and that's exactly what they did against the Jets in 2019 to Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how Belichick is against rookie quarterbacks, so we got to expect. Honestly, we got to expect the same thing that we saw in Carolina. We're going to see a lot of pressure, whether it's a 4-man front, 5-man, 6, 7. We're going to see a lot of pressure, whether you like it or not. It is good that Stephon Gilmore is not playing, so he won't be covering Corey Davis one-on-one. You'd assume J.C. Jackson will follow Davis around the field, but you also have to assume that we're getting Crowder and Keelan Cole back. And I think this will allow Elijah Moore to kind of move around the field a little more, and rather than just stay on the outside for the most part.
Here's the question, though. Yeah. Do you think they'll play J.C. Jackson on Elijah Moore and use their second corner and a safety to bracket Corey Davis? Because we've seen him do that in the past as well. Yeah,
that's what they did. I believe that's what they did when they had Revis, actually. I think they had Revis on the team's number 2 receiver, and then bracketed the number 1. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I guess we'll just have to wait and see until Sunday. Or maybe Mark Schofield can kind of answer that question for you on your video tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. But having Gilmore out, Van Noy's actually didn't practice today either.
No, I saw that.
So I don't know if he'll play. That'll be interesting. But they have a lot of bodies in that front 7. Yeah. I mean, you got Matt Judon, you hit on him, Dante Hightower. Josh Uche, I mean, I really do like him. He's another really athletic player, and we kind of struggled with some athleticism against Carolina on Sunday. Ronnie Perkins, Chase Winovich. Can't forget about Henry Anderson.
Demetric Wise, Lawrence Guy. They've got a ton of guys on the interior too.
Yeah, so I am curious. I think the biggest thing is that the offensive line has to just work on their communication. Yeah, like stunts. You can't let free runners hit from stunts. It can't be a thing. Right now I'm only, like I told you, I think before we started recording, I'm only 13 minutes through the all 22. But Conor McGovern, oh man, he struggled. Run game, pass game. And I'm hoping it improves because he got a 42 or something in PFF. And based off what I've seen, I would have graded him at like a 10. So I'm hoping he improved later on in the game. But no, I mean, just Jet fans, just get ready for more pressure. And hopefully there's no sound bites of Zach Wilson saying that he's seeing ghosts, and we'll be okay, and we'll come out with a win.
Conor McGovern was quick to mention Zach Wilson and kind of throw his rookie quarterback under the bus a little bit as to why they got heated up so much and why they struggled with some pickups. I didn't love those comments. Look, I understand that when you have a rookie quarterback, you're going to see more pressure, and I understand that aspect of the comment, but I thought he could have done a better job handling that question for sure. But the Jets are going to see a ton of pressure against Bill Belichick. They'll probably play a heavy man. But the good news for the Jets, Clay, they're going to get Jamison Crowder back. It looks like Keelan Cole was going to practice tomorrow, if not today. I didn't see what the report was there in the end, if he was limited today or not. There's been a lot of discussions about what the Jets... He did?
Limited today, yeah.
Okay, cool. There's been a lot of discussions about what the Jets should do schematically. I saw someone mention the Jets should play 10 personnel. I don't think that's a good idea. But... No. They shouldn't play 21 for the sake of thinking that Ryan Griffin, Daniel Brown, and Trayvon Wesco are going to add to the blocking, because all you're doing is you're getting toasted around the edge with those guys, and you're taking routes off the field, or if you're sending them on routes, they're going to get slower getting open. I think they have to run more of the condensed splits 11s. You can run the ball with Corey Davis, and if Denzel Mims is in there, those guys are terrific. Like, I'm talking top 10, top 20 run blockers in the NFL at the receiver position. You can get away with running the ball from a pass game perspective. Keep the back in. Let's chip Josh Uche and Winovich and these guys on the edge. But I think they need to get guys open quicker. They need to play a shorter passing game, which LaFleur did a little bit in the second half. What's your take on what they should do offensively?
Yeah, I mean, so much about the Jets offense has been all over Twitter today, whether it's Mims or the schematics. I would say that, like, the less tight ends on the field, the better, just because we're not very talented at the position. But we have to be realistic, and that's just not how LaFleur wants to run his offense. They want to be a run-first offense. And you can establish the run a little better when you have a guy that can block on the outside. I'm trying to, like, if we had like an OJ Howard at tight end or something, like, I'm going to keep bringing that name up. I need it to happen. But that's just how they want to run their offense. And unfortunately, we're going to see it. I didn't really love the condensed 11 looks last week, but maybe that was because, like, Elijah Moore, not a great blocker. Braxton Berrios, not a great blocker. Jeff Smith, not a great blocker. Granted, Jeff Smith was only on the field for like 9 plays, but still, like, we didn't have great blocking from one of the receivers. And one of the first plays I saw was we had an open hole, but Elijah Moore didn't block his guy in a condensed 11 look, and that guy got the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, they're gonna have to work on some things. What it comes down to is just getting push from the offensive line. They didn't get any push last week.
AVT was the only guy. He actually played pretty well in the run game.
He did, yeah. And like I said, like 3 times already. I'm still very early on in the all 22, but no, he did look pretty good in the run game, which was expected. I think that was expected out of him coming into his rookie year. But now losing Becton, that's gonna be tough. Like, I was wondering why we didn't run to the left more often when we had Becton on the field.
It was crazy.
I didn't quite get it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried about this game. I think everyone can see it on my face and in my voice. It's just this defense is going to give us trouble unless this offensive line can get their blank together. It's going to be a long 60 minutes. Let's just say that.
I agree. Just to give people some context, the New York Jets running backs averaged the least yards per carry before contact, which is more an offensive line stat. Yeah. So they really had no opportunity to run. Tevin Coleman broke a couple of tackles on that 9-yard run he had. You had one run from Ty Johnson. I think that was our only 10-plus yard run of the game. So they really struggled to run the ball. And I don't think it's going to get any easier because, as we mentioned, there's a lot of big bodies up front. They're going to put a lot of men at the line of scrimmage, some bare fronts, some 4-3 unders. So it's going to be a difficult time for the Jets running the ball. New England's going to know that. They want to turn this into a drop back, let's get after Zach Wilson type of game. So it's going to be difficult. I think LaFleur's going to have to go outside of what he did. I think he should look more at what his brother does in Green Bay, maybe not last week. They were worst in EPA per play on offense. But I think there needs to be some changes. But let's flip over to the other side of the ball now, Clay, because Mac Jones was pretty good against Miami. I was impressed with what he put on tape. But that being said, New England still scored 17 points. And this is the issue with New England. They have limited explosive plays. Nelson Aguilar's really their only big splash guy. Jonnu Smith's good underneath. You've got Kendrick Bourne, who's a third down receiver, that kind of thing. They don't have a lot of explosion. They're going to run the ball a lot. The Jets are going to be in this game of football, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think what worries me the most is because of all the injuries at the safety and linebacker position. I mean, who did the Patriots just spend all their money on this offseason? Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. I think those guys could definitely, one of those two guys could have a field day. I wouldn't be shocked by it whatsoever. You'd expect that Marcus May would likely be on one of them for most of the game. I know they like to move him around a little bit, but they're going to have to lock one of them up because Delshon Phillips, I don't know how you feel about him, but I'm not too thrilled. We'll see if Quincy Williams makes his Jets debut this week. I know they just signed another linebacker in the last couple of days. I don't even remember his name, but we're down to Mosley, Najaldine, and then like LB 6, 7, and 8 on the roster.
And it's easy to say, let's just stay in nickel, but the Patriots, they're going to come out in 21 personnel. They're going to come out in 12 personnel. And if you're a nickel against them, you're going to get the ball run all over you. Yeah,
Damian Harris. Yeah, those running down our throats. But what is good is, I don't like seeing injuries, but Trent Brown, he also didn't practice today.
Yep.
So maybe he's out. I know they had to go down to their third right tackle on Sunday. So, and we'll see what happens there. That'd make it a little easier. And I think John Franklin Myers, he's primarily on that side of the field. So I think he'll be able to have a pretty good day.
Wasn't he good?
He was really good. He was really good. I know Connor Rogers, he put out a tweet out there saying that he's going to get paid. Like someone smart's going to pay him. And I think he's right. Someone smart is going to pay him because he's just a really good player. And somehow Joe Douglas was able to get him off waivers, which doesn't make a ton of sense because the Rams are actually a pretty smart team when it comes to keeping players. But yeah, this side of the ball, no, it's just the tight ends primarily that worry me a little bit, just because we have so many injuries at linebacker and safety.
Maybe James White can destroy us for the 1,000th time in a Patriots-Jets game because I know you mentioned the tight ends. I think Marcus May and Nasruddin and Mosley match up far better to tight ends than they do to running backs. We don't have the shiftiest of coverage guys. I thought Nasruddin, other than a couple of one-on-one reps against McCaffrey, he was actually really good with his zone drops and his positioning. I thought he had a fairly nice game. He didn't grade out great. I think he was around 45 to 50 for PFF, but I thought he was fairly good. So it's a better matchup, I think, for the Jets, but overall, it's going to be a tough sledding for New York. Clay, the lines in Australia anyway right now is 6.5. The Jets are 6.5 point favorites. Sorry, underdogs right now. They're home dogs in the home opener. And the line, the over-under is at 44.5, which I think is inflated. I think the Jets could get blown out and it could be 23-3, or I think this is going to be a 20-17 style game. If you made me bet right now, I would go the Jets at the line under 44.5. What says you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I was talking to my buddy about it today because I saw it was at 6. I think it started at 3.5, went to 5 like pretty much right away.
Yeah.
And then I saw it at 6 today, and apparently now it's up to 6.5. A touchdown underdog at home against a team that lost last week, and 2 went 7-9 last season. Granted, it was with Cam Newton, not Mac Jones, and there's a bunch of different changes, so it's not the same team. But I was a little shocked about it. But yeah, and they can lose within a touchdown. I'm pretty sure.
I just don't think Mac Jones is going to tear you apart. Like he was good, and he's been solid all preseason, but he's not that guy.
No, I mean, honestly, he could be. He could be that guy. I'm not going to say he won't be, but I don't think he will be this early on.
Yeah, correct.
If that's fair to say.
Yeah.
So I think Jets at least cover. I don't know if they win this game. The fan in me obviously wants to say they're going to win.
Yeah.
No, what? I'm gonna keep it vague. I'm gonna say they cover and leave it at that. And yes, I think it goes under as well, because they scored 33 last week with the Panthers.
Yeah.
I don't know if they score much more than that.
And 36, I believe, was the total for the Dolphins Patriots game. And look, the Dolphins are good in the secondary. They have an okay front seven. I don't think they played a great game. I don't think Tua played very well, and they still came away with the win. Preston Williams didn't play in that game either, nor Will Fuller. So, the Dolphins weren't at full strength. They didn't play great offensively, and they still found a way to win that ball game. So I've been saying, Clay, through the whole offseason that everyone's saying the Patriots are so improved. And look, that happens when you spend $8 trillion in free agency. But they got better at tight end. They got better at, safety. They, on paper, got better at right tackle, but he's now injured. So how much better did the Patriots get at valuable positions? They haven't got Stephen Gilmore right now in the secondary. They've got a rookie quarterback who he could play better than Newton, but we just have to see how that goes. So I don't think the Patriots are that good a football team right now. They're a sub 500 team for me, and everyone keeps laughing, but I don't think this is a good football team.
I think it's what it comes down to is the coach. And Bill Belichick he's obviously one of the greatest, if not the greatest, head coach / manager in any of the 4 professional sports. With that being said, you have to give them I get you have to give them the edge against a team that's 2-15 in their last 17 games.
Yeah, against the Jets, sure.
Yeah. But no, and I think it could be. I think it could be a blowout, and I think it could. The Jets and Patriots always play close, no matter how bad the Jets are, and they still, for the most part, play good games with the Patriots. So yes, I'm going to stick with the Jets covering, and it could be a game where it comes down to whoever has the ball last.
Yeah, these are going to be really difficult games for Zach Wilson. I think people need to temper expectations. If he plays better than not even average. If he plays better than mediocre, it's a huge win in the next 2 weeks. Denver in week 3 is going to be a nightmare. That defense is playing fast, even though they had Robbie get hurt. They're banged up in the secondary. New England is a great front seven. They have the best defensive coach in NFL history. So it's going to be an incredibly difficult 2 weeks. But then after that, that's when you're going to start seeing that fruit pay off. You get then Tennessee and Atlanta, who may well have the 2 worst defenses in the NFL. So keep that in mind. Play with some perspective when you're watching the Jets the next 2 weeks, that it's going to be a struggle offensively for Zach Wilson, but that doesn't mean he's not doing good things.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I hope everyone has just throughout the season, and not even before this past Sunday. Like none of us should have been expecting a playoff run or even competing for the playoffs. I think that's just like being wildly optimistic, which is okay. Like that's fine, but like I also don't. If they don't reach your expectations, don't hate on the team. Like, don't call Wilson a bust, Saleh bad coach, blah, blah, blah. And I know, like, in the early season predictions, like, I said 7 wins for the Jets, like, just, 2 weeks ago? That was mainly because, like, Kayla said 5, you said 6. I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to I'll go with 7. But, yeah, we just got to temper expectations. We're going to get some good defenses to start. I mean, I know Carolina isn't seen as, like, a great defense, but they are a young, fast, improving defense. It was going to give them trouble week 1. And I think I didn't give them enough credit going into the game as I should have. So, just don't expect too much from Wilson these next couple weeks. don't expect too much from the run game too much these next couple weeks. And then I think Tennessee, that's when I think the offense can start opening up a little more.
Yeah. Zach Wilson's on pace for 34 touchdowns and 4,300 yards. So that's the expectation we're sitting here on Play Like a Jet. If he doesn't hit those numbers, he's a bust.
Are those both like season records?
Yeah, probably. They're probably franchise records for the Jets.
Yeah, because I think Fitzpatrick was the first quarterback to throw for 30-plus touchdowns.
Yeah, I think 32,
31,
32 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, 31, 32, something like that.
Yeah. So, look, we'll see how it all unfolds. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I can't wait to see how the Jets do it. Splash, our producer, just mentioned that Joe Namath is the only 4,000-yard passer in Jet franchise history. They haven't had a 15. They haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver since 2015 when they had Marshall, Decker, and Chris Ivory, underrated Jet. They all hit 1,000 yards. So I think, look, Corey Davis is going to hit 1,000 yards this year. And let's finish on this. So. Let's finish on a discussion about Corey Davis, because I think he hasn't got enough love despite he had a couple of drops, but I think he was fantastic. I think Corey Davis can be a wide receiver one. I know we've touched on this a bit in the past, but people said, well, he's not explosive enough. You told me when he broke that crossing route and snapped it off and nearly took it to the house that Corey Davis doesn't look like an AJ Brown type of athlete. Look, he's not quite in that caliber, but this is a guy who's explosive. He's 6'3". He's got great hands over his head, and he can do things after the catch. He has a good rapport with the quarterback. This is a guy who can have 12,000 yards and two touchdowns. He already has 2 touchdowns and 10 to 12 touchdowns. That's the player I think that Corey Davis can be.
Now, I want to ask people that think that you have to be explosive to be a wide receiver one. Is Calvin Ridley explosive? I think he's an amazing route runner. Don't get me wrong, but he's not like explosive. He's not that.
So is Corey Davis. We saw that against Green Bay. Hey, with that little route he pulled.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys that can just win with route running, and Davis can win with physicality, yards after the catch. I mean, there's so many different ways to win in this game. Like DeAndre Hopkins isn't a burner, but he's been a top 5 receiver for the last however many years. So, I mean, one game is still, I mean, he had a drop. There was one play that he could have made a better adjustment to the ball. But he has 93 yards, 2 touchdowns in game 1. So we'll see what he could do these next. I want to give it 5 games, 2 more against a good defense, and then 2 against pretty mediocre defenses. And that might be putting it nicely. Yeah. And then going from there, then maybe I can put him in that wide receiver 1 category. But I think there's so few wide receiver 1s in this league, like maybe a dozen, like true wide receiver 1s. And I don't know if I'm quite ready to put him there, but I'm not going to. He was the 5th overall pick.
Yep.
He has that potential, and if he can connect with Wilson the way he's connecting throughout a whole season, I don't see any reason why he can't be a wide receiver 1. I just don't think he's there right now.
Yeah, we're going to see the development of Elijah Moore. We're going to see Jameson Crowder come back, Keelan Cole, maybe even Denzel Mims if everyone else gets hurt. So, look, it's exciting what the Jets have on offense. I think we have to be patient with the offensive line. It's going to be tough with Mekhi Becton out, but the Jets have an opportunity to be the best they've been at both the receiver and the quarterback position in the last 5 to 7 years since 2015. So, Clay, give us your last thoughts on this matchup. Where's your head at? Give us some parting thoughts for the Jets Patriots.
Well, I'm excited for the receivers to come back healthy. I mean, I feel like with Braxton Berrios, like there's some people that really like him and some people that just like, no, he's only a backup. Like I think he can be a player in this league. I just don't think he's a starting caliber. And I think what Jameson Crowder can bring is much higher than Berrios. Getting Keelan Cole, who's a guy that the team seems to trust. And I'm assuming that Wilson trusts him as well. I think getting those 2 guys back will be big for this offense, rather than throwing Jeff Smith out there, who like I said, like I'm fine with him being wide receiver 7, but like not a guy that should be seeing the field all that much. So I'm excited for those guys to come back, and I'm excited to see what the cornerback group can do after a really good performance week 1. Those are, and obviously. I think Wilson goes without saying. Every single week, I want to see what Wilson can do. But I want to see the cornerbacks, the receivers, and I want to see Elijah Barrett-Tucker and Elijah Moore improve on pretty bad games on both their ends. I know Vera Tucker, he had some flashes last week, but according to PFF, he gave up 6 pressures. And I know one of them wasn't really because of him. It was because Wilson held onto the ball a little too long, but it still goes on his record. And people are going to see that. So hopefully he can improve this week, both Elijah's, because, that's my brand. And I think those are 4 or 5 things that I just mentioned that I'm going to be watching. So all over the field.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate you, Henry. Thanks for watching. We're on Play Like a Jet live on U Stadium. Clay and I are looking forward to the New England game. Some last-minute predictions from me and from Clay. We have the Jets to cover. I think the Jets will get home, but New England will probably win the game. I think under 44.5 is a good bet, and I would take Ty Johnson and Elijah Moore for first touchdowns. If you're looking for some value, now over here, Elijah Moore was 15-1 for first touchdown last week. Ty Johnson was 29-1. I can't see those numbers going up after what the Jets did on offense and the fact that they're going to be big underdogs against New England. So there's a bit of value there if you're chasing some prop bets. So cannot wait for this week's game against New England. We're only a couple of sleeps away now. Let's see how the Jets can respond on offense. Mike LaFleur, can he answer the bell after some questions based on who he picked at different positions going into last week? It's going to be exciting. We appreciate you. It's Clay and Luke with you from Play Like a Jet live team. We're with U Stadium. Make sure you're supporting U Stadium's sub on YouTube. Make sure you hit the notification bell, supporting all their shows, be it the Sports Desk, Timeout with Frankie and Nick, all the shows. We've got some college football shows. That's a fantastic new one that's come onto the platform. Really nice stuff from the Packers and the 49ers. So if you're a football fan and you love content, make sure you support U Stadium. Super stickers you can donate via Venmo. There's so many ways you can support us. And make sure you're supporting us on Play Like a Jet as well, listening to Scott's podcast. He's the master of Jets podcasting and content. And then Play Like a Jet, our YouTube channel. We just hit 1,000 subs yesterday. So good momentum going. Support the team. Clay, appreciate you. Thanks to Splash, our producer. We will see you for the post-game show around 4 o'clock, 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. We'll see you then. Luke, Clay, Play Like a Jet, and U Stadium. See you then.